Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bitter Rivals Podcast, episode 129, powered by 91N. I am your host, Avery Roush, along with co-host Gitano Gallo, as per usual. So we have some hockey to talk about, finally. We are excited to talk about it. Do you want to start on opening night? I'm sure you want to start on opening night.
Avery, I would love to talk about opening night
Okay,
because it was the Sam Montembeault show.
It was. It
48
was.
save shutout to kick the season off
Yeah,
in Montreal against the Leafs.
If I'm not mistaken, that is the first time the Leafs have been shut out since November of 2022.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was a
Absurd.
ridiculous stat.
An absurd streak of scoring goals. But anyway.
Sam Montembeault just stood on his head. 48 save shutout to open the season.
1-0. That is the Carey Price special right there. Like, actually.
Honestly, like with Carey Price in the building, it was fantastic to watch. Cole Caufield getting the goal. He's on a heater, 6-6 so far. And he just looks a lot more confident in the offensive zone, which is a good thing to see. It looks like the shoulder surgery from last year is, kind of an issue of the past. He looks to be at his best. And yeah, the Habs have had an okay start to the season. Nothing good, nothing bad. 6 games, 2 wins, 3 losses, and overtime loss. Actually, a shootout. So, 5 points in 6 games. It's not great, but it's also not terrible. We also played a couple of tough teams too. But yeah, I would say like through 6 games, the Habs looking all right.
Yeah, well, they are the Habs. And if you look at the Atlantic Division right now, like, let's just do that. It is exactly what you would expect it to be.
Exactly. No, the Senators are a little higher up than you'd expect, but for the most part, the top 4 and bottom 4 are, yeah.
It's hilarious. It's just inevitable, it seems. I don't really know what else to say other than I'm sick of this division. Like, sick of this division. I'm disgusted.
I've said it so many times. I'm so glad the Habs suck right now. Like, this is a fantastic time to be shit in the Atlantic. Because there's no point of being like okay in the Atlantic right now in the last couple of years. Like, it's better off just be dog shit and accept it and be fine with it. So yeah.
Like, look at Tampa right now, man. Tampa, Kucherov just picking up right where he left off, even without Stamkos. Gensel fills in perfectly for Stamkos on that power play, and it's just, come on, man. Like, how do they continue to be this consistently good? They lose Sergachev, they lose Stamkos, and they're still so damn good. It's crazy.
I mean, mind you, they've only played 4 games, so it's not the biggest sample size. Most of the teams have played at least 6 or 7 in the division. But yeah, just you almost expect it to not like carry over the whole season, like this hot start. Like, you expect them to kind of slow down at some point and have some struggle, but at the same time, they're the Tampa Bay Lightning and they're fucking loaded, like top to bottom, front to back. Like, there's a real chance that they fucking put up 120 points this year, easy.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise anybody. I think, I'm going to be honest with you, seeing Florida, even like after some of the losses that they had, them still chugging along, Boston, they just are never not good. Like, they're just never not a solid two-way hockey team, the Boston Bruins. It's unbelievable what those guys do. It really is.
They literally should have like soft rebuilt about 3 times in the last decade, and instead they just go deep playoff runs every fucking year.
They just keep winning. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of Leafs specific stuff here. The big story, I think, in everybody's mind is Joseph Woll. Like, this guy, the last time we saw him, he gets hurt in Game 7 against Boston, and then he doesn't even get a start this year, and he's already on the mend. And I think that is something that worries a lot of Maple Leafs fans and should worry the Leafs internally as well. Like, they should be really concerned about this guy's long-term health, because I think talent-wise, he should be the guy, right? And I'm not taking anything away from Anthony Stolarz. I'll get to him in a second, because he's been the biggest story of the Leafs so far, truly. But man, watching this Woll guy and the injuries and it's so hard to put faith in him. It's so hard to say, yeah, that's our number one, because he's proven now. Like, Game 7, Boston Bruins, hurt. Game 1, next season, hurt. and no sign, nothing says he's coming back. I think Berube said the other day, I hope it's sooner rather than later. Hope is not a word you want to be using when it comes to your goaltender, right? Like that is out of the vocabulary when it comes to your goaltender. Having said that, all of that about Joseph Woll, Anthony Stolarz might have been the steal. Like a lot of people were focused on Tanev, a lot of people were focused on Ekman Larson, even Hakanpää, like kind of some of the changes that the Leafs made. I think the biggest sneaky steal there was Anthony Stolarz because that guy has been good. Like that guy has been exceptional in that. Has not skipped a beat. He put up, if I'm not mistaken, he led the league in save percentage last year at 925. Smaller sample size because Bobrovsky obviously played most games down in Florida, but he's picked up right where he left off, and he's being given the net. You're our goalie now. You're starter number one. We got a freaking young kid with the bones of a 50-year-old carpenter there. He's hurt now, so you're going to have to step up, and boy, has he ever. And the games that we've lost, the one to you guys, one goal.
You got goalied.
Like you guys got goalied. That was not on him. The game against New York, I was out at a bar. I didn't watch it that in depth, but, well, we both were out at the bar. Yeah. But he was great. Again, 2 goals against, and if I'm not mistaken, he leads the league in goals saved above expected, which isn't an official NHL stat, but is a little bit more of an in-depth stat that just tells you, based on the quality of chances that he is seeing, he has been the best goalie again this year. And to me, that says a lot, because what do we have? I don't even know what his contract is. I feel like I should know that.
It's a shame Cap Friendly doesn't fucking exist anymore.
Yeah.
Because that would be a quick.
Would be quick.
But just
2 years,
on
$5
your goalies quick. Especially, specifically, Walt, like, you guys have unfortunately been in this situation like a lot in the last couple of years where it's, oh, here's our guy.
Oh my God. Since Freddie Anderson, dude. Matt Murray, Jack Campbell, freaking Samsonov, like just not a spot you want to be in. And that's why seeing Stolarz play like this is very, very refreshing. And now realizing that we have him for 2.5 per for 2 years.
Can't argue with that.
That's a good contract. That, actually, talking about goaltender contracts, maybe we can segue.
Oh, I would love to segue.
Okay, let's do it. So there have been 3 notable goaltending contracts signed, 1 notable goaltending contract not signed. Let's start with the ones that have been signed. So Linus Ullmark, Jeremy Swayman, and Jake Ottinger all signed matching 8-year, $8.25 million deals. Thoughts, Gitano?
I don't hate it. I think it's, again, so the whole thing with, because Swayman was the first one to sign, and his goal was to like reset the goalie market. I don't hate it. I don't hate 8.25 for him. And then when I look at Ottinger and Ullmark, they're also kind of similar caliber goalies.
I would honestly put Ottinger a tier above both of those guys personally, but
I would have them in the same tier, but Ottinger ahead of them, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But yeah, like they're close enough in quality in their play that I don't think that's like a big, like it's not like one of them's fucking like, it's like you're not paying fucking Peter Mrazek fucking 8.25, right? Like
no, these are all solid pieces for sure.
These are all like legit, like because we talk about like 1A, 1Bs, like these are like legit number 1 goalies in the NHL. Like 8.25 I think is a fair number. The 8 years, I don't particularly care for like term when you're discussing that. I'm more,
especially they're all relatively young guys, right? Like
exactly. Yeah. And also I'm not really allowed to make fun of goalie contracts given the Carey Price one. Like I can't be like, oh, like too long and too expensive, because 10 by 10.5 to Carey Price was fucking, I lived and died by that contract. But yeah, I thought those 3 were fine. I have no issues with any of them.
Now let's talk about the one that wasn't signed, by Igor Shesterkin. Who was it? 10.5 or was it?
It was 11 because it was 88 mil.
$88 million, and this boy turns it down. He was going to be the highest paid goaltender of all time. I would assume that Price was before, right? So
I think maybe Bobrovsky is equaled. I think Bobrovsky's deal is also 10.5.
I think you're definitely correct. You're definitely correct in saying that. So it doesn't change my point. He was going to, by $500,000, exceed the highest paying goaltending contract of all time, and he turns it down. So let me ask you, do you think that's him not wanting to be a Ranger?
Given the state of that team, I don't think so. Like they're a kind of a playoff, not lock, but they should be making the playoffs. They're good for 2-3 rounds easily. Like they've got good depth, they've got good young players coming through, experienced leaders. Like I don't think, like if he was in, say, I don't know, fucking, if he was in like if he was on the other side of New York, if he was the Islanders, absolutely, I think that would be a case of like I don't want to be an Islander. The thing is, I think Shesterkin is better than all three of those goalies, so I do agree that he should be getting paid more than them. Personally, I just can't fathom turning down $88 million. Like that's the part that like stops me right there. It's like, no, if you put an $88 million contract in front of me, I'm signing it. Like that's not even a. But like, yeah, it's tough because do I think that he is worth that money? Probably. Like, I think he's one of the best goalies in the league. Like, maybe only behind Vasilevsky.
Hellebuyck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hellebuyck won the best of last year.
That's the top 3 goalies in the league, and I don't think there's debate around that, right? So I do believe he deserves to be paid like the 3rd or 2nd best goalie in the league.
Yeah.
But again, like what that number looks like to him, because to me, like 11 is it's the highest paid goalie in league history. It's your lockdown for 8 years, so basically the prime and kind of a little bit of the kind of downfall of your career is in New York. Like I don't understand rejecting it, but at the same time, if he thinks that he is more than quarter or $500,000 better than Bobrovsky or Price was, or that he's I'm not going to do the math to figure out every goalie, but you know what I mean? If he thinks that he is that much better, I also can't really argue with him.
Well, he had a rough year last year. Like, for his standards, he was not as good as he would have liked to have been last year, which is another reason I'm surprised he turned it down. Because I think, like, he's got to be self-aware enough to know that goaltending is voodoo. We've established that a long time ago. Goaltending, 1 year you can be a league MVP, and then the next year you might not even be a Vezina candidate, right? And that's exactly what happened to Shesterkin. He won the Vezina and was an MVP candidate 1 year, and then the following year he wasn't even a Vezina candidate. So that's where I'm lost from his perspective. Is I would just like that is so much security, right? Like you for 8 years will be getting paid $11 million a year, no matter what happens, no matter how good or bad you are. And after seeing what happened to him last year, if I'm him, I'm going to go, you know what? That's probably a good contract for me to take. Like personally, I would have, and again, just somebody puts $88 million in front of you, you'd be most of the time pretty stupid not to take it, And it's hard for me to kind of wrap my head around where he's at. So
the other thing is like he's had really good seasons before last season too. So for him, he's probably looking at it, you know what? I had one kind of down year. I was still like good. Like he still was
very good.
Fine. Like it was still like, yeah. But like I think he looks at that as saying, okay, like, that this is the contract offer I'm getting after like a kind of okay to good year. Like I'm gonna have a fucking great year this year and earn and make them want to pay me whatever he wants. They haven't put out, I don't think they've released like a number what he's looking for, but I'm going to assume it's probably 12 plus if he's turning down 11.
Well, and I'm thinking he's probably where his mindset is I'm not only one of the best goalies in the league, I'm one of the best players in the league. I want to be paid like it. I want to be paid like Matthews, McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon, Crosby if he took more than 8.7. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what Crosby's worth.
Right. Like that has to be where his head is at.
Yeah. And so I think similar to what I said about Stamkos last year, except he didn't end up signing any extension, but instead of taking kind of and I don't want to call an $88 million offer a lowball offer, but instead of taking this lower offer after coming off an okay year, I said with Stamkos, like, go drop 40 and then sign a massive deal. And it's exactly what he did, except just in Nashville. I think Shesterkin's looking at the same things and, hey, if I pick up like 35, 40 wins this year, have a fucking 925, 930 save percentage, like, fuck it. They're going to have to pay me 13 or whatever I want.
Yeah, for me, it's just the goaltending market is so different than the forward market or the defense market, right? Like in terms of what these contracts are going for. Where I do see it from his perspective, saying, okay, I'm one of the best players in the league. You also have to take into account that you're a goalie. Like, yes, you are, but you're still a goaltender. Teams don't want to bet that much money on a goaltender. It's just that simple because it can go either way.
But here's the thing. When you're as good as he is, when you're as good as Bobrovsky is, when you're good as Carey Price is, when you're good as Andrei Vasilevsky is, like, that is a gamble that teams are willing to take.
Yes, I understand.
So again, it's two sides of the coin here. Like, you understand why he wants the money that he wants, why he turned down the deal, but you also understand the Rangers not wanting to pay him, an absolutely ridiculous amount. I mean, I say absolutely ridiculous. It's like, not really. Like, it is a ridiculous amount of money, but not given the context of, like, the league right now.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we've talked about the Leafs, we've talked about goaltending. Is there anything that you would like to bring to our attention Habs-wise?
In terms of the Habs, I think the biggest story so far this year has been Lane Hutson. He's looked pretty good. Obviously, he's played 8 professional games at this point. Like, it's not, he's 19, played 8 professional games. He picked up, not the one. What game was the third? I forgot what game. It wasn't the Islanders game on Saturday. The game before that, he played 30 minutes. Oh, well, we played LA, 30 minutes as a 19-year-old in the NHL. Again, he's created a ton. His defensive game is only going to get better. It's already decent now. It's decent for a 19-year-old kid in the NHL who's playing like top 4 minutes. Like, he's doing fine. Don't get me wrong. There's absolutely room for improvement.
Fine doesn't win Calder trophies.
Well, when he gets fucking time in the power play, it will. So here's the thing: the Habs power play has actually been like kind of decent this year, which is funny enough because it's never been decent in my lifetime. But yeah, I think once he gets around on the first power play unit, when he takes over Matheson, because Matheson just can't fucking run that unit anymore. I think that's when you'll see the points total start to increase. But yeah, I've been super impressed with him so far. Again, 19 years old, basically playing as a top defenseman already. Yeah, I think it's been an okay start for him.
Yeah. Well, I obviously don't religiously watch Habs games, but I did watch one, and the one that I did watch, he seems to be a lot of frills. He looks good. I wouldn't say he is. That's like the attempted head fakes. That's got to stop. He looks ridiculous out there.
Well, here's the thing: if they work, why stop?
Because they don't work. It's not working. The hype that Habs fans, including yourself, kind of brought about this kid, I was expecting a lot more than what I've seen. And albeit, like you said, it's been, what, have you guys played 7 games this season? He played 1 last year. Is that correct?
Oh, sorry. So he's played 8 games, 6 this year, 2 last year.
2 last year. Okay. I just expected to see more. The way that you were hyping him up, I was expecting Cale Makar to skate out onto the ice almost. Like, that's how you had me feeling. And I'm sure that's how a lot of Habs fans felt watching this kid be put where he is in the lineup this year. And it just hasn't happened yet.
Well, I just want to say he's in the spot in the lineup where he is because the third oldest defenseman on the Habs right now is Arbor Xhekaj. It's Matheson, Savard, Xhekaj in terms of just age, and then it's Caden Gooley and like the rest of these kids. So yes, like it's not like he's walking into the most insulated kind of circumstances. Like I said, like he's kind of getting top minutes, not really out of like, let's give him these minutes for fun. Like, no, it's kind of out of necessity that, like he has to just kind of play these minutes. Like Matheson went out hurt in the game against LA. So that's why he played 30 minutes, So, I think I think, again, 8 games into his career, he's been fine. His game is only going to get better from here, right? Like, if this is the baseline, if this is the worst we see of Lane Hutson in the NHL, I am so okay with that. Like, if these are the building blocks, absolutely. Like, sign me the fuck up, lock him in long term. Like, this is totally fine with me.
You have an interesting take there, my friend, because it sounded like you were expecting a heck of a lot more.
Oh, anyway. I am, but I'm also willing to give him time to do it. I'm not expecting it 8 games into his NHL career. Right?
Okay. Well, that's fair. We have a fun little segment that we are going to play today. Did you want to do 1 or 2 teams per week?
I think we can start with 1 for right now.
Okay.
I don't want to get all of them done like by December.
So this is we are stealing this idea from Overdrive on TSN. Just to be clear,
we're borrowing the idea. We're borrowing the idea.
Please don't sue us. Is all I ask. So what we are going to do is we are going to eliminate every episode a team from playoff contention. So not playoff contention, Stanley Cup contention. And by the end, we will have 2 remaining teams. We hope to have these done by the beginning of the playoffs, and that will be our decided Cup final. So this week, Gitano, are we going to do 1 each, or do you want to come to a consensus?
Here's the thing. I think the first, like, these early ones, probably the first 5 to 7, I think are going to be super easy. It's just a matter of like us deciding which of these teams are like we're going to pick. Because like we could honestly start at the top of the alphabetical order and you say the Anaheim Mighty Ducks aren't winning the Stanley Cup this year.
Yes, I could probably give you 10 teams right now who for sure are not winning the Stanley Cup. Like, do you want to even do that? We'll give a baseline here. We'll get the obvious ones out of the way.
So you want to start with like let's start with 4. I think that's like fair.
Okay.
So I'm going to nominate the Anaheim Mighty Ducks because they are not going to win the Stanley Cup.
San Jose Sharks not winning the Stanley Cup.
They were my second one here.
Yeah. Columbus Blue Jackets not winning the Stanley Cup.
Nope.
Let's get another Eastern Conference team. Come on, Gitano.
The Ottawa Senators.
Okay, that's a spicy one.
They're not winning. No, they're not winning a Stanley Cup.
You're probably right.
Here's the thing. If you can put the argument on the table for them winning a Stanley Cup, we can change it. But until that point comes up,
well, they just paid a goalie $8.25.
Yeah, who
That's
plays
their
in front of
biggest
that?
Goaltending goaltending always has been.
Who is the defense core that plays in front of that goalie?
That's fair. Like, hey, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I know.
Chabot takes a step though. Sanderson takes a step.
I'm just making sure that I'm not just like a total Senators hater. Like my hating of the franchise as a whole isn't entirely like just like I think their team sucks and I hate their franchise. It's 2 different things.
Gotcha.
Right? Like the Leafs, I hate the franchise. The team doesn't suck. Right? Senators is just both.
Okay, fair enough. So that's our 4, right there. The Ottawa Senators.
Anaheim Ducks, Columbus Blue Jackets, Ottawa Senators, and San Jose Sharks. Not winning the Cup this year.
Not winning the Cup. Okay, I like it. That is a fair 4. I could think of another like 10 teams right now though.
Here's the thing, like we could narrow this down like real quick. That's why I said I wanted to take it slow because it's gonna be, yeah.
All right. Is there anything on this episode 129 of the Bitter Rivals podcast that you would like to get off your chest, Gitano?
Just quick shout outs to Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby for some points and goals milestones in the last couple of weeks. Just fucking rolling.
Doing it together.
Yeah. Just like that's the fucking dream. You know what I mean? Like to have like, because they're basically like best friends. Like to fucking win cups and fucking reach milestones and play your entire career with your best friend. That's gonna be fucking dope.
Yeah.
So shout out to them for that.
For sure.
So what do the Leafs have lined up for this week?
It is a busy week in Toronto, actually. So we have the Lightning tonight. This is being recorded on Monday, October 21st. So we have the Lightning tonight at 7:30. Oh, I thought that game was at 7. Okay. Tomorrow we're in Columbus at 7:30. So back-to-backs. And then we have the Blues on Thursday in Toronto at 7. And the Big Bad Bruins Saturday at 7 p.m. Hockey Night in Canada. in Boston.
That's pretty heat. It's funny, the Habs have actually a pretty quiet week, so only with the Rangers in town tomorrow, 7:15 puck drop, and then the Blues in town Saturday night for a 7 o'clock puck drop. So nice quiet week for the Habs. A tough game though with the Rangers coming to town, but hopefully they're up for it.
Yeah, no, it's for me, this season has started quite slow.
Yeah.
Like, it just, I don't know what it, maybe it's like the fact that I'm a Leafs fan and it just doesn't even matter. But like,
no, because here's the thing, like even last season, like it felt like the Habs played every other night, and it has not been like that to start this season. And I know it's probably like a scheduling thing, but like there's been so many times where I get home from work, I'm like, hey, like who do the Habs have tonight? I'm like, oh, we don't play for 3 more days.
Yeah. No,
So,
it's been a slow burning season so far. Hopefully things pick up here though, because I love watching Leafs hockey. So hopefully things pick up. We get a few more games. This is a busy week for the Leafs. What's next week even look like? Monday, Thursday, Saturday. So next week's a 3-gamer. This week's a 4-gamer. All right. That's all I have.
That is all I've got.
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to episode 129 of the Bitter Rivals podcast, powered by 91N, and we will talk next week.